Hello and good evening, friends, and welcome to a special Friday night edition of NFL Saturday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined once again by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We are maybe awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll see in special edition of the Wrestling Forum. But yeah, week 6 of the NFL. It started last night. A matchup of the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Philadelphia Eagles. Tampa Bay winning the game 28-22, improving to 5-1 on the season. They will host the Chicago Bears next week. And the Eagles, I believe they dropped to 2-4. And I believe next week, Philadelphia will be next week. They will be on the road in Las Vegas, as they will be taking on the Las Vegas Raiders next week at Allegiant Stadium. So we'll get into that next week. But right now, let's get into week number 6 of the NFL season, and it's gonna start Sunday morning at 9:30 in the morning as part of a very special and rare triple header on CBS. And it will feature MF's team, the Miami Dolphins, and they're going to be squaring off against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, MF, is this which game is this going to be at Tottenham again, or is this going to be Wembley? Because I'm not sure which London stadium hosting this, but
where is it? What's it saying? Where is it located, Florio?
I gotta look. I know it's no. I got it. Dolphins, Jaguars, London. Yeah, London. There you go.
Nope, Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur.
Oh, Tottenham again. Okay. Yep. I got it right here. Yep. Tottenham. That's where the game last Sunday was. The New York Jets and the Atlanta Falcons. Apologies for that inconvenience, but I'm ready to go now. So, all right. So with that, it will be the Miami Dolphins against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tottenham. And on the call for that one, it's going to be Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, Melanie Collins. They will be in London for that one. Miami opening up as a 3-point favorite. Miami leads the all-time series 5-4. They last met it last year. They met in Jacksonville. Miami won 31-13. Jaguars last beat the Dolphins 2018. That was a 17-7 final, and that was in Miami. So, Jaguars last beat the Dolphins as the home team in 2015. That was a 23-20 finals. So, so with all that said, let's dive on in. What to watch for? Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is expected to return and under must-win stakes. If the Dolphins don't win at least 2 of their next 3 games, they'll be left with a record only one other team in modern NFL history has ever come back from to make the playoffs. So the pressure is on the second-year quarterback to resuscitate a stagnant offense, 31st in yards a game and 30th in passing yards a game in London. Bold prediction, Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence and Tagovailoa will each throw for more than 300 yards. Both teams' pass defenses rank in the bottom quarter of the league. They have allowed a combined 19 touchdown passes, have intercepted just 3 passes, and are each giving up more than 280 passing yards a game. Stat to know, the Jaguars have not made a field goal this season. What? Wow. First team since the 1962 Minnesota Vikings to go without a field goal 5 games into a season. And the last team without a made field goal through 6 games was the 1956 Baltimore Colts. For fantasy, Jacksonville running back James Robinson averages 19.2 fantasy points and 4.9 yards a carry for his career when getting at least 15 carries in a game, and he has at least 15 carries in 3 straight contests. Betting nugget, the favorites are 18-11 against the spread in London games, but Miami has the worst cover margin in the NFL this season, minus 11.2. and lost outright the only other time it was favored this season. But good news, MF. The FPI gave Miami a decent rating, 61.9%, about 62%, going with the Miami Dolphins to win this game. And I'm going to take it one further. I agree with that spread. I'm going with the Miami Dolphins to win this game as well. I think this is their best chance to get a win. 21-14, the Miami Dolphins squeak by the Jacksonville Jaguars. They'll get out of London with this one in hand and pick up their only their second win of the year, keep Jacksonville winless. Zonk game of the week, MF, but what a deal for the Zonk crew. That they get a free pass to London. So I mean, I know I know that crew is grateful, and I know that. So not much more to say. MF, like I just said, real recognizing real. I think I really believe this is your Dolphins' best chance for a win.
Well, they better deliver on this one, or else I think Brian Flores is going to be fired. I really mean it. I think the pressure is really mounting now, and they gotta produce. Because think about this, Anthony. At the very beginning of the year, there were Super Bowl aspirations for the Miami Dolphins. There were not only that, but there was playoff aspirations. The team that they loaded it up with, the team that they had, and everything that was riding on this season all depended on the success of Tua, of the offensive line, of everything. First game wasn't the best game when they beat New England. They barely beat them. Then, honestly, they got exposed by Buffalo. And what happened was Tua got hurt, and the offensive line was a liability. And week after week after week after week, that offensive line has not proven itself at all. It still is a liability. Our defense is not as good as it once was. And our coaching staff has looked so bad that now there are rumblings that Brian Flores, if he doesn't win this game, could be fired after this game. That's how bad it's gotten in Miami. That's how toxic this team has become. And there even is a report, Anthony, from the Miami Herald saying that Brian Flores might have lost the locker room. That's how dire straits this has gotten in Miami. But here's the thing. The kicker is now they're going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who's got even bigger issues than the Dolphins do. And we've talked, and it's been talked about in the whole 9 yards in the last week or so, especially the actions of Urban Meyer and the whole 9 yards. So something's got to give on Sunday morning in Tottenham, and it has to be the Dolphins. If Miami does not win this game, I truly am. I'm not just going out on a limb. And you know what? I'm not even going to go WWE route. I'm going to go Paul Heyman route. This isn't a prediction. This is a spoiler. Brian Flores will be fired by the Miami Dolphins if he does not win this game on Sunday. Period. And a quotation, it's yours.
Oh boy. All right. Yeah, and I hate to say it, MF. If they do lose this game, he deserves to be fired. I'm sorry. That's just the way I feel. So but anyways, let's try to, let's continue on here. Hopefully MF hopefully he feels better after that. So I know that's hard. I know that's frustration, MF, obvious frustration. I don't blame you 100%. I mean, I even had Miami as a wild card team this year. I did. Playoff aspirations, I agree. But Super Bowl, nah, honey, that's stretching it. So, but we'll see. We'll see. You don't know, but we're gonna move on, and we're gonna move on in a big way. We're gonna move on to what is, by records, anywho, the game of the week on our side of the ledger. Oh, this is gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be the Los Angeles Chargers squaring off against the Baltimore Ravens from M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. And this will be over on CBS. And on the call for that one, it'll be Greg Gumbel, Adam Archuleta, and AJ Ross. Big game for them. And Baltimore. Baltimore is actually opening up as the favorite. Baltimore opening up as a 2.5 point favorite in this one. So, and the all-time series, it favors the Ravens. The Ravens lead the all-time series 7-5. They met last in 2010. They met twice, or I should say in 2018, I beg your pardon. 2018, and they met twice. Regular season game in Los Angeles, Ravens won 22-10. But then they met in the playoffs, a wild card playoff game, and the Chargers won that one in Baltimore 23-17. The Chargers' last regular season win in Baltimore was 2014. A wild 34-33 five-star classic of a game. The year after, 2015, the Ravens' last home win against the Chargers, 29-26. MF, Chargers, Ravens, by records, it's technically the game of the week on our end. This is a huge early game here. Maybe a playoff preview. You don't know. Both teams are 4-1. They lead their respective divisions. I know the Ravens are the favorites, but the thing is, as great as Baltimore is, I think it's high time we start taking this Charger team seriously.
Oh, without a doubt. But the thing is that the Ravens deserves the respect that they're getting. And Lamar Jackson is picking up right where he left off. He single-handedly wielded that team to victory on Monday night against Indianapolis.
What a comeback.
There is no way on earth that comeback should have happened, and it did. And like you said, for the Chargers, they've been having a heck of a run. They've definitely earned the respect of a lot of people, and they are right now the best team in the AFC West. They're better than Denver. They're better than Kansas City. They're better than the Raiders. And right now, they are one of the top teams in the AFC. This is, without a doubt, a major showdown because they could probably be the number 2 team in the AFC when this is all said and done. I think we can all agree right now the top team is Buffalo. Everybody's gunning for the Bills, especially after what happened on Sunday night. We'll get into Buffalo a little bit later. But the number 2 team in the AFC is up for grabs. And it could be a matchup that could determine who will be the number 2. And maybe they will have aspirations at number 1. We'll wait and see how that plays out later in the season. But this is a huge matchup. But I gotta go with the Ravens. The Ravens are just too good, too strong, and that defense. And that's the one thing we got to talk about is that for all of the good that the Chargers have been, they haven't faced a top 10 defense yet. They haven't faced a ferocious defense like the Ravens. And you're going from west to east. That is not easy to do. That's jet lag. That's going from one city to another. I don't know, Anthony. I don't like the Chargers' chances. If this was in LA, I like them better. But because they got to go to Baltimore in this environment, in this what could be a playoff preview matchup, Ravens all the way. I'm sorry. I'm going with Baltimore to win it. Florio, it's yours.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Before I get into my end, I mean, I've been going back and forth on this one. I really have. I mean, this is one that can really go either way. as it would stand right now, if the season were to end, believe it or not, in terms of record, all that good stuff, the LA Chargers would actually be the number 1 seed in the AFC. And I think Baltimore was number 2. I think. So, man, I mean, it's very tough. It really, really is. But what to watch for? All eyes will be on the quarterbacks. The Chargers, Justin Herbert versus the Ravens, Lamar Jackson. This is a clash of 2 of the NFL's best young quarterbacks who are at the top of their games right now. It's only the second matchup in league history in which both quarterbacks are coming off games of 400 total yards and 4 touchdown passes the prior week. Over the last 3 games, Herbert leads the NFL with 11 touchdown passes, while Jackson ranks second in the league with 1,045 yards passing. Bold prediction, Herbert will throw for at least 400 yards, and Chargers running back Austin Eckler will rush for at least 250. It's going to be that big of a day on offense. Herbert's poise and patience will be key against the Ravens defense as he tries to keep a 5-game streak of at least 25 completions alive. Stat to know, the Chargers are allowing an NFL high 157.6 rushing yards a game and 5.6 yards a rush this season. The Ravens, meanwhile, ranked 4th in rushing yards a game, 148.8, and 6th in yards per rush, 4.9. For fantasy, Eckler is just the 5th player over the past 35 years to record 55 rushing yards and a receiving touchdown in 3 straight games, and his 7 total touchdowns are tied for the NFL lead through 5 weeks. Betting nugget, the over has hit in each of the last 6 games in which the Ravens had less than full rest, something that will be the case this week after Baltimore hosted Indianapolis on Monday night. Baltimore is the FPI favorite, 58.7%, about 59% going with Baltimore. But with all due respect, MF, I'm starting to believe in this Charger team. I think they're for real. And I think they can get this one done. I think the Chargers are going to steal one in Baltimore. And it's going to be a high-scoring Shakespearean drama classic. 37-34, the Los Angeles Chargers defeat the Baltimore Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium on Sunday afternoon. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So not much more to say there. So let's move on to our next matchup, our first look at the Fox ledger. Next 3 games are going to be from the Fox end. We got the Minnesota Vikings squaring off against the Carolina Panthers, Bank of America Stadium, Charlotte, North Carolina. And this will be over on Fox and and on the come on now. On the call for that one, it'll be Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Sarah Walsh. And spread favors in Minnesota is actually the favorite. 2.5 point spread for Minnesota. Series history, Minnesota leads the all-time series 9-6. Their last meeting was last year in Minnesota. Minnesota won 28-27. Last meeting in Charlotte, 2017. And ironically, MF, I believe we actually called that game. I think that was our Tony and Mikey game of the week back in 2017. I think I remember us doing that one. That was one of the we took full advantage of the cross flex, and we ended up getting a doozy on that one. Carolina won that game 31-24. Minnesota's last win in Charlotte was the year before, 2016, 22-10. So that's pretty much all the schematics for that one. So with that, let's break down Minnesota and Carolina in what I believe is a sleeper game of the week, one of the sleeper matchups of the week. No question about that. So Carolina coming off of a tough home loss, a tough luck home loss to Philadelphia. Minnesota, what can you say? I mean, breaking the hearts of the Detroit Lions. I mean, you cannot help but feel for the Detroit Lions, man. I mean, with what they've been through. So, and here we go. What to watch for? Keep an eye on Carolina's offensive line. It has given up 8 sacks and 19 quarterback hits the last 2 weeks, a big reason for a 2-game losing streak. The Vikings rank second in the NFL in sacks with 17, so they can get after the quarterback. The Panthers likely will have backed the left side of their line, tackle Cameron Irving and guard Pat Elflein. But even with them, teams were getting pressure on Sam Darnold. Bold prediction, Darnold will notch his 7th career game with 3 interceptions, which will be the most by any quarterback since he entered the NFL in 2018. The Vikings pass rush ranked second with 3.4 sacks a game, and we saw how Darnold reverted back to his Jets form, i.e. holding onto the ball too long, making poor decisions, in Week 5 when he took blow after blow while facing pressure on 43% of his dropbacks. What Minnesota does up front will yield a big day on the back end of the defense in the form of multiple interceptions by the secondary. Stat to know, the Panthers' defense is allowing 4.75 yards a play. Only the Buffalo Bills at 4.25 are allowing fewer and is leading the NFL in pass rush win rate. For fantasy, Minnesota quarterback Kirk Cousins is averaging 26.3 fantasy points a game over his last 4 on the road, averaging over 320 passing yards in the process with 11 scores and no interceptions. Betting nugget, Carolina is 4-1 against the spread in its last 5 games when the line is between +3 and -3. Minnesota is 1-4 against the spread in its past 5 in that spot. Carolina, the FPI favorite, 54.3%. This is another one that I've been going back and forth on. Very tough to call. But I don't know why, but I'm going to take a chance here, and I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers to win this game. My final score, 27-24. Carolina knocks off Minnesota. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So not much more to say. MF, Minnesota, Carolina, in Charlotte. Last time that game was in Charlotte 4 years ago. Do the cross flex. We actually had it, and it was a good one.
Yeah,
I don't see why this can't be a good one either.
I mean, I kind of agree with that, but then again, Anthony, look what happened last week. I went against Carolina, and I was right. This time around, it's Minnesota. That's a tougher game. I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like this could go either way, but I'm gonna give Carolina the benefit of the doubt. But there is no Christian McCaffrey. We already noticed what happens when he's not there. They're a shell of themselves. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna go with you here, and I'm gonna say that Carolina wins. Florio, what's yours?
MF, are you ready for the first round, the first of 2 rounds of the greatest rivalry in NFL history?
Oh. Yes.
And it's coming right here and now. The greatest rivalry in NFL history. The oldest rivalry in NFL history. The Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears, Soldier Field in Chicago, on Fox. And on the call for that one, Joe Davis. He's sitting in for Kevin Burkhardt while Kevin Burkhardt hosts the studio show for Fox as part of the Major League Baseball playoff coverage. So Joe Davis taking his spot. He's working with his crew, Greg Olson and Pam Oliver. And the spread favors Green Bay. Green Bay opening up as a 6-point favorite. Listen to this series history. Green Bay leads the all-time series 100-94 with 6 ties. Last year, Green Bay swept. Matter of fact, Green Bay has swept each of the last 2 years. So Green Bay's won 4 meetings in a row with Chicago. They won in Chicago last year, week 17 last year. Green Bay won 35-16. The Bears haven't beaten the Packers at home since 2018. That was a 24-17 final. So there isn't much more to say. MF, the oldest and greatest rivalry in NFL history. First round, Green Bay, Chicago, Soldier Field. Green Bay's won 4 in a row against the Bears. Do I hear 5?
I kind of feel like it is. I feel like it will be 5 in a row for Green Bay. I think Green Bay kind of they got very lucky that they beat Cincinnati last week, especially as bad as the kicking game was. But the thing is that at the end, I kind of feel like this is one of their moments. This is where they kind of start to hit their stride. But I will say this: Chicago has done a lot more better. Justin Fields looks like he's starting to settle in as the quarterback very nicely. And I kind of feel like this is a moment where Chicago could do something, but when you get Aaron Rodgers and if he's on his game like he's been, there's nobody that can stop him. So unless Chicago really, really, really puts a lot of pressure on Rodgers, I just feel like Rodgers is just gonna own the Bears yet again. Green Bay wins. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. What else is there to say? I mean, Chicago coming off of that huge win in Vegas. I mean, I didn't think they had I didn't really like their chances going into Vegas against the Raiders, but somehow, some way, they stole one at Allegiant. Very surprising, but here, I don't like their chances. I mean, what to watch for? Believe it or not, the Bears are actually within a game. They're within one game of the Packers in the NFC North. A victory over hated Green Bay would do wonders for Chicago's confidence. The Packers, meanwhile, as I get pushed up, Packers, meanwhile, are just hoping for business as usual. Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers, 20-4 lifetime versus Chicago, has trounced the Bears throughout his illustrious career. Bold prediction: Rodgers' turnover-free streak during the Packers' current 4-game winning streak against the Bears will come to an end, and it might cost them the game. Rodgers has 10 touchdown passes without a turnover in the last 4 meetings with Chicago, but the Bears' defense looks strong this season, and it could be the difference in pulling off an upset. Stat to know: Justin Fields will be the 20th different starting quarterback that the Bears have used against the Packers since 1992. The Packers have used only 3 different starting quarterbacks versus the Bears during that span, and we know who those are. For fantasy, pass-happy game script, Packers receiver Davante Adams has scored or gone over 115 receiving yards in 7 of his last 8 games against the Bears, while running back Aaron Jones averages under 4 yards a carry for his career against Chicago, never totaling more than 90 total yards in a game in the process. The betting nugget: the Packers have won 9 of the last 10 meetings in this rivalry, covering the spread in 7 of those instances. Running into some problems here, of course. So, but I'm with MF. I mean, I gotta go. I gotta go with the Green Bay Packers to win this game as well. My final score is 25-23. I'm going with Green Bay to pick up the win here, and I think it's going to be a great matchup. There's no question about that, and it's there's a lot of history. So all right. So I apologize for the technical difficulties on my end. Very slow. So I got to make things up on the fly here. So I do apologize for that. So all right. So I'll have that FPI for you all in a minute. So all right, there we are. There you go. The FPI favored Green Bay. Green Bay had the FPI favorite, 59.1%, about 59% going with Green Bay, and I got Green Bay winning as well. So so there isn't much more to say on that. So with that, we're going to move on into our next matchup, and I do have to do some cleaning up here because my system's running very, very slow. I think this site might be the problem, so hopefully this will fix it up, and we'll take it from here. So coming up, we got the Cincinnati Bengals squaring off against the Detroit Lions from Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. And it's cross-flex. This is a game that you would usually see on CBS because of the AFC at NFC setup. But this time around, Fox is going to have this matchup with Cincinnati and Detroit. Excuse me. So, and on the call for that one for Fox, it will be... Okay, got it right here. Chris Myers, Daryl Moose Johnston, Jennifer Hale. They will be on the call for this game. And the series history favors the Cincinnati Bengals. And as a matter of fact, the Cincinnati Bengals have actually owned the Lions over the years. Cincinnati currently has a 6-game winning streak against Detroit. They've won 6 straight matchups with Detroit, including the last one in Detroit, which was in 2013. Cincinnati won 27-24. This is hard to believe, but the Detroit Lions have only beaten the Cincinnati Bengals at home one time, and that one time was their very first meeting all the way back in 1970. Detroit winning 38-3. So well, there isn't really much to say on that one. So with that, let's get into Cincinnati and Detroit. And there's only one way this can go. So what to watch for in this one? As soon as I can get it. All right. Although the Lions are one of 2 winless teams, this group could easily have 2 wins this year if it weren't for gut-wrenching losses to Baltimore and Minnesota on game-deciding field goals. Okay, just make sure I have the right one. Okay. So can they avoid starting 0-6 for the first time since 2008 when the squad infamously finished 0-16? First-year Lions coach Dan Campbell actually experienced that as a player. He said, I know. And look, nothing I'm going to tell them is going to make them feel any better. Campbell said to any disappointed fans. All I can do is try to prove it, show it. Not me, us, all of us, staff, players. Look, everybody is frustrated. Bold prediction, Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase will have a 40-yard completion and 125 receiving yards. The Lions give up more yards per completion than any other team. With the Bengals rushing attack a question mark because of injuries and COVID-19, Cincinnati could do some serious damage in the air, and so far, Chase has been the team's big play receiver. Stat to know, Joe Burrow is the first quarterback in Bengals history with multiple touchdown passes in each of the team's first 5 games. He seeks to join Dan Marino as part of the 1984 Miami Dolphins as the only first or second-year quarterbacks with multiple passing touchdowns in their team's first 6 games. For fantasy, Chase is the second rookie wide receiver with 450 receiving yards and 5 receiving touchdowns through 5 games. The other, Randy Moss with the 1998 Minnesota Vikings. Betting nugget, Cincinnati 1-4 against the spread as a favorite under their head coach, Zach Taylor, since 2019. Cincinnati, the FPI favorite, 56%, going with Cincy. I'm going with Cincy as well. I'm afraid it's going to be another tough luck loss for the Detroit Lions. I mean, after all, Cincinnati is the favorite after all. And man, I mean, you had to feel, that's another team you had to feel for after that, after their demoralizing loss of their own, where they literally had Green Bay dead to rights on many occasions, but just couldn't slam the door. Cincy is a 3.5-point favorite, so it's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals in this one. Sorry, Lions fans. I hate to add to your troubles, but, I have no choice. 27-23, Cincinnati makes it 7 in a row against Detroit and keeps Detroit on the skids, unfortunately. So there isn't much more to say. MF, I mean, last week, these were the 2 teams you felt the most for. Detroit, well, obviously, for obvious reasons. But for Cincinnati, though, I mean, against the Green Bay Packers, they went toe-to-toe with the American hero, Aaron Rodgers and company. But those damn special teams, just those field goals just couldn't go through.
Yeah, and the last one's probably the most devastating because of the fact he thought he had it. he thought he had the kick. He thought it was good, and it blew up. I mean, you want to talk about tough losses, and if you're Minnesota, man, you find the newest ways how to lose a game. I mean, first off, the Justin Tucker 66-yarder to break the NFL record and lose that way. And now, yet another field goal where it looked like you had it. Where it looked like you were going to win the game too on that as well. Oh, it's been a rough year. It's been a rough year and it's going to get even rougher for Detroit. I hate to say it. I'm with you. I got Cincinnati winning. So, Anthony, next game.
Yeah. So with that said, next up on our docket, it will be another one of the meh games of the week. This will be back on our end of the ledger. It's going to be the Houston Texans squaring off against the Indianapolis Colts, Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. And this game will be over on CBS, of course. And just bear with me for a moment. I promise this will be the last interruption here. All right, here we go. Had to change things up differently. All right, here we go. Spiro Ditas, Jay Feely, they will be on the call for Houston and Indy. One-sided rivalry because Indianapolis owns this series. Indianapolis has owned the Houston Texans to the tune of 29-9. And Indianapolis swept both meetings, but both of them weren't like routes or anything. They were both one score wins. The game in Indianapolis, Indy won 27-20. The Texans have not won in Indianapolis since 2018, a 37-34 overtime win. So Indy's won the last 2 years against Houston at home. So MF, our other, you could definitely call this another Zonk game here with Houston and Indy, battle of one-win teams. Who's gonna avoid the basement in the AFC South?
It's gonna be the Indianapolis Colts. I think the frustration is really starting to grow with Houston. You played a great game against New England. You should have won that game, but then you got cute. Try to play this. You literally outsmarted yourselves, and that's the one thing you never ever do in the NFL. You never outsmart yourself, and that's what they literally did against the Patriots. And you literally let them back in the game because you had not only because you had both Michael Bullock and Derek Ferreira. It's one thing if Ferreira starts going on rants and everything else, and that's fine, whatever. But you had Michael Bullock on edge.
Unbelievable.
And that is very rare for us to hear because we hear it from Ferreira all the time. He rants, he'll rant about anything, and that's fine. But you had Michael Bullock going on the attack, calling out the Patriots. And this is one of those rare times where, I'm sorry, but I attacked both men. I went Cerebral Viper on both guys after the game was over. And Florio, you know about it because I ripped and let them both have it after that game was over.
Absolutely.
So,
what they needed to understand, and this is one of the top lessons any NFL fan should learn, whether it's your team or not. No lead is ever safe.
Yeah.
Always remember that.
Yep.
Go on.
And so I kind of feel like if you're Houston, you literally shot yourselves in the foot. You literally blew the game. You had that. You were about to beat the New England Patriots. And you literally started doing idiotic mistakes that almost basically told us, did you really want to win this game? It makes me question if you're really, where is your heart in this situation? That's what I want to find out. For Indianapolis, look, Indy, that was a great game that you played, but that was the Ravens. That's a whole different animal. That's a whole different thing. And you were in Baltimore. Sometimes that happens. I know you're a lot better than that. Jonathan Taylor was having a great game. You should have kept running the football. You should have done what you were doing instead of throwing the football. I believe Jonathan Taylor will have a big game. I think Nines will also be pretty well done. I think Carson Wentz won't need to do too much because that Houston defense is so bad. This should be an easy victory for the Indianapolis Colts. If they don't win this game, oh, there's gonna be some trouble. I got a bad feeling Pat McAfee might go after the Indianapolis Colts if they don't win this game on Sunday. Florio, it's yours.
And you talk about your boy Brian Flores being on the hot seat. My old friend Frank Reich could be on the hot seat if they lose this. Oh boy, especially after that epic fail against the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, they literally had him dead to rights in that game, but somehow, they made the big mistake. They took their foot off the gas, as did Houston. I mean, Houston had New England dead to rights, and they let them back in it, and somehow, some way. I mean, what is it about New England and Houston? The Patriots in Houston. I remember there was a game against the Texans where I think they came back from big to win. And then, of course, we'll never forget it. Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls. 38, my first, and 51, Atlanta. And that's coming up on a Thursday night very soon. I forgot to mention, I was so caught up in the excitement. Indy is a 10-point favorite, by the way, to win this game, and that's not a big surprise. So, but anywho, what to watch for here? Will the Colts pass rush have a big game against Houston's depleted offensive line? The Texans will be without their best offensive lineman, left tackle Laramie Tunsil, with a finger against the Colts. That means an Indianapolis front led by DeForest Buckner will have an opportunity to put pressure on Houston rookie quarterback Davis Mills, who has been sacked 11 times in 4 games. And there's a chance the Colts could have rookie pass rusher Kwity Paye with a hamstring back after he missed the last 2 games. Bold prediction: if Colts receiver T.Y. Hilton returns from injury, neck, and plays Sunday, he'll continue his success against the Texans with a big game, reaching 100 receiving yards. In 18 career games against Houston, Hilton has 97 catches for 1,718 yards and 11 touchdowns. Stat to know: after throwing for 312 yards last week, Mills can become the first Texans rookie with 300-plus passing yards in consecutive weeks. For fantasy, in each of the last 5 seasons, Hilton has had a game with over 19 fantasy points against Houston as Indianapolis WR1. Michael Pittman Jr. has that role these days, and the Houston defense isn't exactly intimidating. Betting nugget: Indianapolis is 12-4-1 against the spread against Houston since 2013. FPI favorite, of course, it's Indy, 72.3% going with Indy. I'm going with Indy, 27-13, Indy over Houston. So not much more to say on that one. And when we move on to our penultimate early game, we have the Los Angeles Rams squaring off against the New York Giants from MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the Meadowlands. And of course, this game will be over on Fox, and on that call, it will be Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, and Shannon Spake. And the spread favors the Rams by 8-point spread for LA. They met last year in SoFi. Rams won 17-9. Matter of fact, the Rams have won each of the last 2 meetings with the Giants. Rams also won their last meeting in New York, which was 2017. Rams holiday hand the G-Men 51-17. Giants have not beaten the Rams at home since 2011. That was a 28-16 final. That was back when they were the St. Louis Rams, of course. So with that, let's get into this one. What to watch for? The Rams have allowed a league-low 4 sacks through 5 games, and only one team has produced fewer than the Giants' 8 sacks. Can New York get near Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford? If not, it's going to be another long day for the Giants defense and a good afternoon for Stafford in Los Angeles. Bold prediction, Stafford will pass for 4 touchdowns and a blowout win. The Giants defense is allowing 27.8 points a game, which ranks 27th in the NFL, and it has given up 10 passing touchdowns, which ranks 21st. Stafford's connection has been just a bit off with receivers the last 2 games, so look for Coach Sean McVay to dial up the passing game to get him in rhythm with his playmakers early. It's a stat to know, the Rams lead the NFL this season in offensive efficiency, 82, and yards of play, 6.71. For fantasy, LA running back Darrell Henderson has accounted for 72.9% of the Rams running back touches in his 4 games this season. That's a higher rate than Dalvin Cook and Austin Eckler hold this season with their respective teams. Betting nugget over the last 5 seasons, New York is 9-24-1 against the spread at home and 7-18 against the spread as a home underdog. Rams FPI favorite 69%, and I'm going with the LA Rams to win this one. My final score 35-21. Rams all over the G-men. So not much more to say on that. So MF, Rams and Giants, your thoughts?
I also agree. I think the Rams are going to win this game. I just don't see anything that would make me say Giants. They got injuries galore. I think that some of their best players, Saquon's not playing. I think Daniel Jones is out. I think possibly 2 of their or 3 of their top receivers are not playing either. Nah, this is Rams easy, man. You could even call this the lock of the week. So Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, definitely one of the locks of the week, along with the Indy and Houston game, no doubt about that. So I believe we have now reached our final 1:00 game on this schedule. I forgot to mention, starting this week and for the next 9 weeks, we're gonna have bye weeks. We won't see a full week of action where every team plays. We won't see another week like that all the way up until week 15. So from this week all the way up until week 14. It's going to be bye weeks and nothing but bye weeks for the next 9 weeks. And for this first bye week, the Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints, New York Jets, and San Francisco 49ers are the bye teams this week. So you will not see them in action. So just wanted to get that out of my system there. So final 1:00 game on the week. And this is a sleeper matchup on our side of the ledger. We got the Kansas City Chiefs squaring off against the Washington football team from FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. On CBS, I already know for a fact it's going to be Ian Eagle, Charles Davis, and Evan Washburn on the call for that one. Kansas City, the obvious favorite. KC opening up as a 7-point favorite, a touchdown spread for KC. And why not? Because Kansas City has owned this series. Kansas City has absolutely owned Washington to the tune of 9-1. Kansas City, 9-1 against Washington. They've won, 7 in a row. The Redskins have Washington has only beaten Kansas City once, and that was all the way back in 1983, their 3rd ever meeting, and that was at the old RFK Stadium in Washington, 27-12. Last meeting in Washington with these two, KC ran all over them, 45-10 in 2013. So there isn't much more to say here. MF, sleeper matchup, no doubt about it. You got to imagine Kansas City is going to be hopping mad after my Buffalo Bills embarrassed them in their own house.
Not only that, but they've lost 2 in a row. Kansas City has lost 2 in a row.
Oh, that's right.
Not only did they lose to Buffalo, they lost to the Chargers. So
actually they beat Philadelphia before Buffalo. So technically they've lost
2 out of 3.
Yeah, 2 out of 3. That's fine.
Lost 2 out of the last 3. But no, man, I mean, if you're a Kansas City and now you got all these people who are starting to doubt you. You got all these people are saying, you're not a Super Bowl team anymore. As a matter of fact, a lot of people think that the dynasty is over, that this power that Kansas City has is now gone, that Buffalo's passed you, the Chargers have passed you, that all these other teams in the AFC, the Ravens are better than you guys. So Kansas City, this is one of those games where we talked about last night about Alabama after they suffer a loss and what happens next. Think about what could happen with Kansas City after all of this stuff going around saying that they've lost a step, that they're no longer the favorites, that they are not even they're not elite in the AFC anymore. And now the Washington football team is coming to, they got to play the Washington football team? Dude, I do not envy the Washington football team right about now. I am so worried that this could get out of hand really early and this could get really ugly. This could be a lock of the week beatdown, holiday ham style, is what I'm thinking. When it's all said and done, Kansas City crushes the Washington football team, and this will not even be close, Anthony. At least by 3 touchdowns is what I predict. Florio, it's yours.
Wow. Yep. We'll have to wait and see. So, but anyways, getting to my notes on this, must be on the higher up. All right, there we go. What to watch for? Will Washington's defense be able to contain Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes? Washington ranks 27th in passing yards allowed a game, 22nd in yards per pass attempt allowed, and tied for 31st in touchdowns allowed of 20 yards or more. The secondary has not been consistent, to say the least, and a coverage is blown each game. It would help if Washington's ground game takes over against the defense ranked 29th versus the run, and it could lead to points and limit the Chiefs' time with the ball. Bold prediction, Chiefs receiver Tyreek Hill will go over 100 yards and catch a couple of touchdown passes. It has been an unusual season for Hill, who has 2 big games with almost 200 yards in 3 games in which he wasn't much of a factor. But he'll bounce back after last week's poor showing against the Bills with a big game against Washington, which is allowing a generous opponent passer rating of 107.8. Stat to know, the Chiefs are allowing nearly 7.08 yards a play, which is the second worst rate through 5 games in NFL history. Only the 1950 Baltimore Colts at 7.11 had the higher rate, according to the Elias Sports Bureau research. For fantasy, Washington receiver Terry McLaurin caught 15 of 18 targets in the first 2 weeks this season, but has hauled in just 14 of 31 targets since. Betting nugget, the Chiefs were 7-3 against the spread as a road favorite of 3+ points in the first 2 years of the Mahomes era. Since then, they are just 3-5 against the spread in such spots. Kansas City, the FPI favorite, 65.5%, about 66% going with KC. I'm going with KC as well. I agree with you in that respect, MF, but I don't know if it'll be a blowout, though. I mean, it could. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. I really wouldn't, but I think this game's going to be closer than you think. I mean, because Washington is not a slouch. Remember, despite the fact that they had a piss-poor record, they still won the NFC East. And they hung with Brady and the Bucs in that wild card game. They really did. Taylor Heineke is the real deal, let me tell you. So with that, I agree with you in KC winning. I respectfully disagree that it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be closer than you think. I'm gonna say 37-31. Kansas City defeats Washington. So that's really all I can say on that. So now we're going to get into the late games. And according to my notes here, we only have 3. Because remember, we have bye weeks here. So 1 4:05 game and 2 4:25 games. And all these games are pretty good. So we'll start it with the 4:05 game on Fox. And this is, in my opinion, Fox's game of the week, based on the records and the star power and all that. The Arizona Cardinals squaring off against the Cleveland Browns, First Energy Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio, over on Fox. And it'll be Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, and Laura Oakman. They will be on the call for that one. And believe it or not, Cleveland's opening up as a 3.5 point favorite. Hard to believe, but that's true. Cleveland leads the all-time series 33-15 with 3 ties. Their last meeting was 2 years ago in Arizona. Arizona won 38-24. Last meeting in Cleveland, 2015. Arizona also won that 34-20. Arizona's won 4 in a row again. Arizona's won 4 in a row against Cleveland. Cleveland has not beaten Arizona overall and at home since a 44-6 beatdown against Zona back in 2003. So it's been a long time. So let's get into what I consider to be the game of the week on Fox's side of the ledger. What to watch for? After giving up 47 points to the Chargers last week, how will the Browns defense respond against Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray and his array of talented skill players? It won't be easy to bounce back, especially with defensive ends Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney and cornerback Denzel Ward limited in practice this week due to injuries. Bold prediction, the Cardinals will hold the Browns' top-ranked rushing attack to under 100 yards in one of Arizona's best defensive efforts of the season. The Browns are averaging 187.6 yards a game on the ground, and the Cardinals are giving up 139. But the Cardinals have proved they can stop big-time rushing attacks. Just look at what they did in Week 1 to Tennessee's Derrick Henry when they held him to 58 yards and the Titans to 86 yards overall. Stat to know, Arizona receiver DeAndre Hopkins now has 7 straight games without 100 yards receiving, his longest streak since 2016. He had a season-high 87 receiving yards last week. For fantasy, Browns running back Kareem Hunt had 8 rushing touchdowns in his 24 games with Cleveland prior to this season. He has 5 in 5 weeks this year. Betting nugget, the Browns are 12-1 outright in their past 13 home games when not facing the Baltimore Ravens. And believe it or not, Cleveland is a slight FPI favorite. FPI giving Cleveland the doubt here. 51.9%, about 52% going with Cleveland. I can't really get with that. I just think as great as Cleveland is, I just think Arizona's that much better right now. It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be another high-scoring, 5-star Shakespearean drama classic. But I got to go with the Arizona Cardinals in this one. 31-28, Arizona steals one in Cleveland, stays undefeated, barely. So, of course, this is something I like to have fun with MF with because this we all know there's only one team that's ran the table for a whole perfect season, including the Super Bowl. And that was his Miami Dolphins in 1972. MF, is this the week where your boys are going to pop the champagne, or is it going to get put on hold for at least another week?
No, I think it's going to get put on hold for yet another week. I just feel like right now, I gotta go with the way I have to say is I just think Arizona is just the better team right now. So I really got nothing more to say. So Florio, it's yours.
Fair enough. And now we're going to move on to the 2 games that will be on at 4:25 over on our side of the ledger on CBS. And we start off with a divisional matchup from the AFC West, as it will be the Las Vegas Raiders squaring off against the Denver Broncos from Empower Field at Mile High in Denver. And on that call, it will be Andrew Catalan, James Lofton, and Amanda Balionis. And the spread favors Denver. Denver opening up as a 4-point favorite. The Raiders lead the all-time series 66-53 with 2 ties. And last year, the Raiders actually won both meetings. Raiders actually swept Denver, which included a win in Denver. Raiders won 32-31 in Denver last year. Denver's last home win against the Raiders was the year before, 2019, 16-15. That was the final in that one. So MF, these 2 teams currently tied for I believe they're currently tied for second
Mm-hmm.
in the AFC West. Only both looking up at the Chargers. Who keeps pace and who takes a step down?
Oh boy. Whenever we talk about a game like this could go a number of ways. I don't know. Like you said, this is not an easy call at all. Um, when we talk about, I guess, when you talk about Denver, you kind of feel like maybe they let one get away last week. Um, they've lost two in a row. They got embarrassed by Pitt, and you're thinking, man, that should have been their game. They should have won it, but they didn't. Because of the fact that Pittsburgh was falling apart. Like they were falling flat on their faces and the whole 9 yards. And as far as the Raiders go, man, what they are going through right now is without a doubt one of the wildest things you ever see in NFL history.
And I can confirm, MF, and we know the situation. We usually don't like to focus on the negative stuff. I mean, I know I don't like to focus on the negative stuff, but unfortunately, this is going to have to be the one exception to the rule here. Because John Gruden, Gruden, I mean, what can you say? I mean, with all this stuff coming out, all these emails that came out years ago, with racial slurs on DeMaurice Smith, the director of the NFLPA, and then taking shots at Roger Goodell and so many others, and it cost him his job. Well, even though he was not fired, he resigned. He's going to be replaced by a gentleman by the name of Rich. I can't pronounce the last name. I think it's Sicasio or something like that.
It's Sicasio.
Rich Sicasio, who has 38 years worth of coaching experience, and he's going to be the interim head coach because of this situation, and 38 years of experience. I know he's done work with he's a special teams coordinator mostly, and he's been an assistant for a lot of teams. But this is, I'm sure this was the last thing he was expecting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll openly admit, and the funny thing is now the NFL is reporting that there's no other emails or there's no other thing that there's no other hidden surprises coming out. I guess the NFL did some investigating, and they're saying that what this was a lone incident. All these emails that came out that was not only that implicates John Gruden, also implicated Bruce Allen. So Bruce Allen will never, ever be working in the NFL ever again. He was fired as a general manager of the Washington football team a few years ago, and I'm pretty sure no owner is gonna hire this guy ever again. So his career is virtually done. John Gruden's career is virtually done. I don't think nobody's ever gonna hire Gruden ever again. And the one thing about it is that when it comes to the Raiders, they are completely exonerated because of the fact that they are open about everything. Everything that Gruden said does not reflect the Raiders. I mean, my God, they had the first Latino coach with Flores that took them all the way to a Super Bowl championship in Super Bowl 15. Then you had Art Shell, the first African-American head coach in the NFL, and he did it all right for the Raiders. They got an assistant who's a female right now, the first female assistant with the Raiders right now. And they've done so many different things. They even have a guy who is from the LGBTQ community who did come out and say that he was the first openly gay player on a roster with the Raiders. So I mean, for Gruden to say all this stuff, this was one man on his own personal thing, but what he did does not stand for the NFL and does not stand for what society is looking at today. Now, a lot of people are defending John Gruden, saying, but this was comments that were made way back when, back in 2011. But the thing is that it stretches out in a 7-year period. That is not right, guys. I don't care what you are, who you stand for, or anything. For these emails to come out 7 years, and this was a 7-year track, there's no need for it in the game. There's no need for it at all. Now, I know a lot of people are going to jump the gun and say, well, this is that cancel culture that has been running amok in society today. That even if you say something that is mildly wrong, that you get ran off on TV, ran off the internet, whatever. The thing is, you got to watch what you say. And the thing is that I'm going to be real honest with you on this one. I got a lot of friends who are from that community, the LGBTQ. I got friends who are African Americans. I got a lot of female friends. And all the comments that were made, not just by Gruden, and there's a host of others in that email chain. Stephen A. Smith actually called out all of those people. I think it was Bruce Allen was one of them. Then there was like the CEO or the founder of Hooters. He was implicated. There was like 3 more other individuals, and this was wrong, absolutely wrong, and it cannot stand at all. But the Raiders, as a team, now has to pick up the pieces off this mess. Now, relatively speaking, the NFL was furious at the Raiders that Gruden was coaching last Sunday. They thought he should have been gone by then. Well, I mean, you can call that on Mark Davis, the owner. So, I mean, I don't know. I think everything has to be done for a reason. Denver is coming out of this game and they're thinking we gotta bounce back, because a lot of people thought that we were dominating, we were one of the best teams out there, and we lost a couple of games that we should not have lost, especially that game against Pittsburgh last week. We should have won that game because Pittsburgh was falling apart, and we made them look like they're back. So now they're going up against the Raiders. This can go a number of ways, but I think the distraction of this Gruden thing is going to be a little too much for the Raiders. I'm going to go with Denver to win this game. Anthony, let's focus on the game more than the distractions.
You pretty much said everything when it came to that, MF. So I know Matt Ward and Derek Ferreira out there on Facebook wanted me to go on a pipe bomb rant. Well, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. With all due respect, I know it's what you want, but you're not getting that tonight, especially with the way we do our shows. So, but anyways, what to watch for? What will the Broncos defense do against the Raiders offense in turmoil, and specifically quarterback Derek Carr? In Carr's past 3 trips to Denver, he has thrown for 288, 391, and 371 yards with 4 touchdowns across those 3 games. The Broncos' pass rush has been lukewarm over the last 2 games, and the group needs a big day in this one if the Broncos want to get a win they need. Bold prediction, trying to compartmentalize the emotional roller coaster the Raiders have ridden this week is tough. So, too, will be keeping Denver edge rusher Von Miller in check, or have you missed Las Vegas' reimagined offensive line being unable to keep Carr clean? Carr is on pace to be sacked a career high a career high tying 51 times. And Miller, who has 5.5 sacks this season, will break through with at least 2 more against the Raiders. Stat to know, Raiders running back Josh Jacobs is averaging 3.2 yards a rush this season, third lowest mark in the NFL among qualified running backs, and ahead of only Houston's Mark Ingram and Arizona's James Conner. For fantasy, Broncos running backs have had next to no success recently against the Raiders. Over the last 5 meetings, they've scored just once on 107 carries, and in the past 3 matchups, they've managed just 3.4 yards a carry. The betting nugget, under tickets have cashed 8 times in the past 9 games between the Broncos and Raiders. Denver is the FPI favorite, 62.8%, about 63% going with Denver. And I 100% agree. After all the turmoil and all the drama and all the reality show drama and BS that we've had over the last week, I think that's definitely going to weigh on Vegas, very much so. It'll continue their downward spiral after that 3-0 start, and that's all there is to say. So I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos to win as well. I think the Raiders might keep it close, but I think Denver's going to ultimately take it. So I'm going to say 23-17, Denver over Vegas. So not much more to say on that one. We got 3 games left, and we move on to the other 425 game, and this is the game that we're going to be calling the Derek Ferreira Bowl, because it will be his 2 favorite teams, the Dallas, and he's actually going to this game. He's going to be there. And it's going to be our default game of the week. We're going to make a waiver exception here because MF and I are going to be committed to the baseball playoffs. So Derek Ferreira and Michael Bullock take over that top spot in our absence as per usual. So, and we're making an exception for this one because, like I said, this is Derek's 2 favorite teams. The Dallas Cowboys squaring off against the New England Patriots, Gillette Stadium, Foxborough, Massachusetts, on CBS. Hello, friends. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson. They will be in Foxborough for this one. Dallas opening up as a 3-point favorite. Dallas leads the all-time series 7-6. However, it's been both ways. It's been one-sided. Dallas won the first 7 meetings against New England. But every meeting since the last 6 meetings, it's been all New England, including their last meeting 2 short years ago in Foxborough. New England won 13-9. The Dallas Cowboys have not won in Foxborough since 1987, the replacement season. Dallas won at the old Foxborough Stadium, maybe it was Sullivan Stadium back then, 23-17 in overtime. So here we go, the Derek Ferreira Bowl. What to watch for? Cowboys cornerback Trayvon Diggs knows Patriots quarterback Mac Jones well from their time together as teammates at Alabama. Diggs, a 2nd-round pick in 2020, became only the 2nd Cowboy defender to record an interception in each of the first 5 games of a season. The other was Don Bishop all the way back in 1961. Jones, the Patriots' 2021 first-round pick, used to face Diggs in practice as Alabama's scout team quarterback, and already knows what it's like to be picked by him. He has a really good feel for the game, Jones said. Bold prediction, the Patriots will score more than 21 points. That might not sound bold, but they have scored more than 21 points in just 3 of their last 11 home games and haven't reached the mark in any of their 3 home games this year. As improved as the Cowboys' defense is, it still gives up too many big plays, allowing 25 plays of 20 yards or more in 5 games. Dallas has lived on takeaways and offensive proficiency. The Patriots will have some chances, and Jones will put some points on the board. Stat to know, the Cowboys rank 5th in offensive efficiency and 7th in defensive efficiency this season. They are the only team in the league to rank in the top 7 in both. For fantasy, Dallas receiver Amari Cooper saw 17 targets and scored twice in week 1. He has 18 targets and 2 scores in the 4 games since. Betting nugget, Dallas is the only team in the NFL that is still undefeated against the spread this season, 5-0. It's the first team to start 5-0 against the spread since the 2018 Kansas City Chiefs. They started 7-0. Dallas is the FPI favorite, 56%. But I got to go with the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. I think it's going to be close, but I think Dallas will steal one in Foxborough. 27-24. The Dallas Cowboys win the Derek Ferreira Bowl. So not much more to say. MF, Dallas, New England, Derek Ferrera Bowl. What says you?
I actually gotta go with Dallas as well. I just feel like New England right now is just kind of playing by the motions. I think they're trying to make something out of nothing, but I just don't see them making much noise here, Anthony. So I'm with you. I also got Dallas winning the game as well. 2 games to go.
And they're the primetime games. And next up, Sunday Night Football on NBC. And when the schedule first came out, this was an attractive matchup. It really was. But after the events of recent weeks, not so much. How it's still in this spot is beyond me, but obviously we're probably not.
We don't have the cross flex yet. I don't think we can flex it out yet. Not yet.
All right, not eligible. All right, I had a feeling. All right, but anyways, it's going to be a matchup of the Seattle Seahawks squaring off against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, on NBC. It's not going to be Al Michaels this time around. Mike Tirico is going to be sitting in for Al Michaels. Al Michaels will be taking this week off, so Mike Tirico will be sitting in with Chris Collinsworth and Michelle Tafoya for this one. The spread favors Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh opening up as a 5-point favorite. I'm not surprised by that. Even though Seattle has won the last 2 meetings, including the last one in Pittsburgh, 2019, Seattle won 28-26. The Steelers have not beaten Seattle overall and at home since 2011. That was a 24-0 beatdown. Seattle leads the all-time series 10-8. So there isn't much more to say. MF, when the schedule first came out, a very attractive matchup because we were like, okay, Russell Wilson, Ben Roethlisberger, 2 of the best, should be a great one. Not anymore. As you all know, Russell Wilson, 10 days ago on Thursday Night Football, injured his finger in a loss to the Rams. And unfortunately, that injury was so severe that he's going to be out. He's going to be out for several weeks.
Yeah.
And Russell Wilson out, Geno Smith in.
And not only that, but you also lost Chris Carson as well, and he's on IR as well. I mean, it goes from bad or worse for Seattle.
Best chance for Pittsburgh, though. This is a great chance for them to get back in the race here.
Without a doubt. I think Pittsburgh is really going to benefit from this. So, without a doubt, there's nothing more that you can say about it. So, I'm with you. Pittsburgh is going to win this game. It's not going to be the best game, but they're going to play a lot more better than anything else. So, yeah. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this one. Anthony, it's yours.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this is a great chance for Pittsburgh to get back in the race here. I really do. I mean, what to watch for? No, the Steelers are not facing Russell Wilson. But that doesn't mean they're taking the Seahawks' Geno Smith lightly. Pittsburgh coach Mike Tomlin stressed that Seattle can still run the same offense with him. The Steelers' defense looked better a week ago against the Broncos, in part because the offense sustained drives. But they have to replicate that again this week and make Smith uncomfortable by generating a stronger pass rush than they've managed in recent weeks. Bold prediction, Seattle's Gerald Everett and Will Dissly will combine for 100 receiving yards and a touchdown. Tight ends haven't factored into Seattle's passing game under new coordinator Shane Waldron as much as many expected, and that was the case even before Everett missed 2 games while on COVID-19/reserve. That could change with Smith replacing an injured Wilson. The prediction here is that Smith won't push the ball down the field as much as Wilson, opening up opportunities for Everett and Dissly on underneath routes. Stat to know, the Seahawks have allowed 450 yards of offense in 4 straight games, which is tied for the longest streak in NFL history. For fantasy, over the last decade, 4 of the top 9 primetime fantasy performances from a running back have come from a rookie. Alfred Morris in 2012, David Johnson in 2015, and Kareem Hunt twice in 2017. Steelers running back Najee Harris has rushing touchdowns in consecutive games. Betting nugget, Smith is 5-0 against the spread in his last 5 starts, his final 4 with the New York Jets, and his only start with the New York Giants. Pittsburgh, the FPI favorite, 59.3% going with Pittsburgh. I'm going with Pittsburgh to win as well. It'll be closer than you think, but I think Pittsburgh will leak it out here. The loss of Russell Wilson and Chris Carson will weigh heavily, but I think Pittsburgh will leak it out. They'll pull this one out, get back in the race here. 24-20. I got Pittsburgh. knocking off Seattle. So not much more to say except the final game of the week, Monday Night Football on ESPN, and another very attractive matchup on our side of the ledger, definitely in our top echelon for sure. Easily a game MF and I could have done if we weren't in baseball playoff commitment mode, but it's going to be a great one nonetheless. You could definitely make an argument for game of the week for this as well, despite the records. The Buffalo Bills squaring off against the Tennessee Titans, Nissan Stadium, Nashville, Tennessee. It's Monday Night Football on ESPN. Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, Louis Riddick, Lisa Salters. Buffalo opening up as a 5.5-point favorite. Tennessee leads the all-time series 28-17. I remember this very vividly because it was just over 1 year ago, 2020 last year, a game that was I don't know what night of I think it was supposed to be during the Sunday slate, but because of COVID and all this stuff, it ended up getting played on a Tuesday night. We had a special Tuesday night game on our side of the ledger, and then Tennessee absolutely humiliated and embarrassed Buffalo. Derrick Henry, that stiff arm, I'll never forget it. 42-16, all Tennessee in that one. Buffalo last won at Tennessee and against the Titans overall the year before, 2019. That was a 14-7 win for Buffalo. So here we go. What to watch for? Something has to give. The Bills' defense is giving up 78.4 rushing yards a game, third best in the NFL. Tennessee's Derrick Henry is leading the league with 640 rushing yards and has 4 consecutive games with at least 100 yards on the ground. Henry only had 57 rushing yards in the Titans' 42-16 win over the Bills last year. Bold prediction, the Bills will limit Henry to his second game this year under 100 rushing yards and give the Titans offense some issues. This season under defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier, the Bills have adapted to defending whatever offense is thrown at them. So while the Titans are averaging 167.8 rushing yards a game this season, third most in the NFL, only 3 teams are giving up fewer yards per rush than the Bills' 3.7. Stat to know, the Bills have scored 35-plus points in 4 straight games, tied for the longest streak in franchise history. They could become the first team to score 35-plus points in 5 straight games since the Denver Broncos did so in 2012 and 13. For fantasy, Tennessee quarterback Ryan Tannehill's top 4 games as a member of the Titans have come at home, including a 30-point effort against these Bills in Week 5 of last season. Betting nugget, Buffalo has the best cover margin in the NFL, plus 15.3. That's the 4th best mark by any team through 5 games in the last 20 seasons. Buffalo has covered 4 straight games, all by at least 15 points. Buffalo is the FPI favorite, 72.4% going with Buffalo in this one. I think Tennessee will give them fits. I could see them giving them fits maybe for 3 quarters or so, and then I could see Buffalo pulling away late. So I'm going with the Buffalo Bills to keep on rolling here. 35-24. I got the Buffalo Bills winning in Nashville over the Titans. For the second week, you could say this is a little mini revenge tour here because Buffalo went after the team that wronged them more than any other team last season. They lost to KC twice. A regular season game on a rainy Monday night in Buffalo. They lost 26-17 to Kansas City. And then, of course, the AFC Championship game at Arrowhead, which they also lost 38-24. Tennessee also wronged us last year. That beatdown last year on the Tuesday night, a little over a year ago. We have not forgotten about that. We have not. Absolutely not. And the only other team that wronged us, we don't play them. That's the Arizona Cardinals. The only way we could is if somehow, some way, both teams end up in the Super Bowl in SoFi, which you never know. It could happen, but we're not going to hold our breath on that. So, but nonetheless, I got Buffalo completing this mini revenge tour with another successful stop. We had a nice stop in KC. Let's finish the job in Nashville. Get this other team that wronged us. 35-24. It will not be easy, but I think Buffalo will get it done. So not much more to say. MF, we talked about it. Buffalo last week. We saw it. We were there. The AFC title rematch. They went, in a way you could say, they kicked the door down at Arrowhead and they made themselves at home despite that 1 hour plus weather delay.
Yeah, without a doubt, no doubt about it, they definitely did. But now here we are going up against Tennessee, and the main question I have is, how are they going to stop Derrick Henry? That's the big one. If you can stop him, you guys win the game easily. But if Henry starts going, man, I that is tough, man, because then if the running game is going, that opens up Tannehill. And if Tannehill starts getting going, I don't care who the hell you are. You ain't beating the Titans at home. I do believe Buffalo will figure it out. I think they will stack the box and Henry will get a lot of yards, but they're not going to beat him. I think that's Buffalo's mentality is that you're gonna get a lot of yards. You're gonna probably kick our butts when it comes to Derrick Henry. Henry probably is gonna run wild on him, but he's not going to get in the end zone. He's gonna get a lot of yards, but no touchdowns. And that's how you win these games. Allen's just got to continue to play the way he's been playing. He's right now a contender for MVP, and I know a lot of people are not giving him that benefit, but he is. He's a legit threat for MVP right now. So Buffalo should win this game. Nothing more to say, Anthony. Let's call it a night.
Yeah, let's call it a night indeed. And the hashtag that I wanted to start with, Bills Mafia, hashtag JA17 for MVP. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he finished second in the voting last year, only behind the American hero Aaron Rodgers, and rightfully so, because Aaron Rodgers was just out of this world last year. And if it wasn't for that, he would have been MVP, no doubt. But there's no doubt there. Right now, you got to consider them maybe possibly as of now the front runner in the AFC right now, and I couldn't be any more encouraged by that. So could this be the year? I hope so. So that will put the bow on this special Friday night edition of NFL Saturday. What time tomorrow night, I'm at for the big show? Is it 10:30 tomorrow night for our big Wrestling Forum special? MF, what time tomorrow? Do you have a time yet? 10:30 or so? I know it's going to be somewhere around that area. So tomorrow night, MF will be on for a very special edition of the Wrestling Forum, hosted by good old MF Michael Fletcher over on his channel, BraceFan95, as we got a loaded show. I know we're probably going to skim through NXT 2.0, and rightfully so, but something big did happen on that show. That most certainly needs to be addressed. Halloween Havoc card taking shape, and then, of course, supersized SmackDown with two instant classic matches. Two matches on this show really over-delivered tonight, and I'm not surprised they did. A couple of other good things on this show. So we'll get into supersized SmackDown. We'll also get into the AEW Rampage, and we'll also get into the Saturday night AEW Dynamite. Huge show tomorrow night. And then Monday night, right back here for the Ridiculously Raw, right back here on this channel. The final Monday Night Raw before the Crown Jewel event in Saudi Arabia. We'll get into Monday Night Raw. We'll get in and my Tony's Take. I'll be back with the Tony's Take this time around, Impact Wrestling and 205 Live. And then no show Tuesday, no show Wednesday, because we'll be doing this same schedule again next week. We'll bypass Tuesday and Wednesday, and then next be with you for college football Thursday. You already know the matchups for that. I addressed those last night. And then a week from the night, another Friday edition of NFL Saturday. Some games to look forward to next week. The Cincinnati Bengals against the Baltimore Ravens. The Washington Football Team against the Green Bay Packers. Kansas City Chiefs against the Tennessee Titans. I'll give a look to the Philadelphia Eagles and the Las Vegas Raiders. I only say Houston and Arizona because J.J. Watt will be facing his former team. Chicago Bears against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Indianapolis Colts against the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday Night Football. And the Monday Night Football game, the New Orleans Saints against the Seattle Seahawks. And that's pretty much it. So we'll get into that next week. And there you go. So until tomorrow night for the special edition of the Wrestling Forum over on MF's channel, BraceFan95, it's Anthony Florio signing off on behalf of all of us here at Strictly Sports and the Wrestling Forum. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, Michael Bullock, Dee Woodson, who we continue to hold in prayer for her and her family. And, of course, always and forever, the man responsible for all of this, the Yankee Messiah 401, Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Saturday, and until tomorrow night for that big Wrestling Forum show, you've been watching the special Friday edition of Strictly Sports NFL Saturday Week 6 right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and streaming.com. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, is me, Florio. So long. Bye, everybody. Bye.